Captain America and his improvised squad of Avengers are now up against Baron Blood and his Nazi vampires on an old SHIELD helicarrier. Cap leads the charge, naturally. He figures that if he can get Blood to focus on him, then the idiot won't be able to direct his forces. This should allow the Avengers to save the humans that have been kidnapped. He tells Hazmat that they're one level up from the escape pods, so get to it. Hazmat uses her powers to flash blind the vampires, but it does take a lot out of her. Hercules scoops her up and then punches them down a deck, while Quicksilver watches their back. It's honestly good teamwork. It's what makes them the Avengers. Cap keeps Blood talking as they run and fight their way through the helicarrier. Baron Blood reveals that he isn't even a part of Blade's attack. He's just an opportunist, seeing a good chance to strike, take power, and claim what's needed to survive in the upcoming new world. Captain America gets it. This is why they're kidnapping people. They're basically to-go boxes of humanity, so Blood and his forces can wait out this vampire change and then make a push to come out on top. The other Avengers do get the kidnapped civilians to the escape pods, and they are successfully ejected. They plan to then back up Captain America, who hasn't really been seeing a lot of vampires on the ship so far. It appears to be just Baron Blood and a skeleton crew, really, so this should be easy. But the Baron tackles Cap through a door, revealing the truth. Blood actually has an active handful of soldiers, sure, because he has plenty of people held in reserve. In the belly of the helicarrier are dozens of coffins housing even more vampire troopers. Cap calls the Avengers to inform them of this, but they've got their own bad news. Those civilians who got sucked up in the tractor beam with them weren't the only ones on the ship. Blood actually has dozens of them held in the prison deck. And there aren't enough escape pods for this many people. Cap tells them not to worry, though. He throws his shield at Blood, forcing the Baron to dive off the catwalk and down into the vampire coffin holding area. Then he pulls the pins off some grenades and chucks them down. Blood screams as the grenades explode, and Captain America runs off. While Hercules frees the civilians, the other Avengers aren't really sure what to do next. Quicksilver suggests a speech, something to bolster their spirits, you know. It's not his specialty, though. He is not a people person, so someone else really should, and Hawkeye interrupts here and gives one hell of a speech herself. The issue ends with a slightly smoldering Baron Blood having caught up with Captain America on the flight deck of the helicarrier. Blood plans to kill him, but he has forgotten one thing. Captain America knows how to fly a helicarrier. He shoves the stick down. As the ship begins to tilt, Blood cries out, gripping onto the wall, and Cap calls over the Avengers communications badge. This is your captain speaking. Buckle up. My name is Ben, and this is Breakdown's continued coverage of Blood Hunt, Episode 10. I'm tired of these MFing vampires on this MFing helicarrier. The last issue of Avengers was a really solid issue, setting everything up and drawing the team together and then showing them in action. So I was really surprised by how lighthearted and just fun this issue was. Captain America spends pretty much the whole issue engaging in dogfights with Baron Blood, and it's got a really casual air about it the entire time. Like, both of the characters are taking this seriously, but Cap's dialogue is just super relaxed. At one point, he even refers to Blood's troops as jackbooted suckheads, and I appreciate the nod to the Blade movie's usage of the term suckhead, but that's not really a thing that Steve Rogers would ever say. Same for the line at the end, this is your captain speaking, buckle up. Who is this man, and what did he do with I'm super serious all the time, Steve Rogers? Because I kind of love it. To me, it kind of speaks to at how at home Steve is fighting a force like Baron Blood. He knows Blood. He's a fascist. He's power hungry. He's opportunistic. But he also isn't like a super dangerous threat. Cap almost feels like he's playing with him this entire issue. And he sort of is, buying time for the rest of the heroes to save the people. And I just loved every second of it. When Cap manipulated Blood into diving down amongst his own troops so that he could toss grenades down to do more damage, loved it. Blood comments that it'll be a shame when he kills Cap, because then he can't fight all of Blood's troops. You won't have an opportunity to even face my army. And Cap doesn't even blink. You think I couldn't handle every single one of your troops, Blood? He asks. And then he throws the grenades. This is one of the most surprisingly chill takes on Captain America that I've ever read. He's so at home doing this, and it lends this issue an air of levity that I was not expecting, and is really refreshing given how heavy Bloodhunt issue 3 was, and how heavy Dracula issue 2 was. It's nice to see a little bit of fun while still keeping all of the stakes in place for the story. Meanwhile, the rest of the Avengers are also a hoot. Hazmat brings up the concern that if they launch these escape pads over water, then the people inside of them will drown or starve or just whatever. But Hawkeye says no, telling her all the amenities that the pods come equipped with. So Hazmat teases her, asking, "What? Were you training to be a SHIELD agent or something? A nerd?" And Kate flashes back to being in the 4th grade when she made a scale model of the helicarrier. And she bashfully answers, "Maybe." And it's so cute. When Quicksilver talks about making a speech, Hazmat says that he should be the one to make one. He's old. He's been with the Avengers forever. He knows how. I think the specific line is something like, "You've been an Avenger since dinosaurs walked the Earth," which is a solid bit of sarcasm. But then Quicksilver does her one better, because dinosaurs still walk the Earth down in the Savage Land, he says. So that statement is actually true of all of them in the room. Like, it's just fun comics. It's fun banter in a fun situation with action and violence and good character work. It just works for me. And I also really appreciate that Hawkeye is the one who makes the inspiring speech to the civilians. She is the only non-powered member of the Avengers in this squad, so she is the most down-to-earth of them and the most humble. She has the same amount of risk as most of the people who were trapped here, so there's an easy emotional connection between them. For me, that through line also goes back to older characters like Clint Barton Hawkeye and Steve Rogers, leaders who appear to be just people, but people who prove themselves to be superheroes through their actions. Kate fits right in amongst them, and I just flooping love it. And it's also kind of a cool thematic tie-in with Bloodhunt issue 3, where we got to see Sam make his speech inspiring the world, and then Kate makes a little speech here, saving these people. I almost wish that it was just like Sam's speech broadcasted over the helicarrier sound system somehow. You could easily have done some kind of Iron Man thing making it happen, but it feels more appropriate for Kate to do it here in this particular situation. This issue did cement that Baron Blood is not any form as a part of Blade's plan, which good for you, Blade, for having some vampire standards. So I almost didn't want to continue covering it because it's not part of the main narrative anymore, right? It's a little thing happening over here doing its own thing. But I had such a blast reading this that I just had to share it. I'm so down for this kind of comic. Next episode, we are going back to school for the 2nd issue of the Strange Academy tie-in. Agatha Harkness finally shows up again. We learn a little bit more about Kid Darkhold, and Doctor Doom shows up in this one. If you enjoyed this episode of Breakdown, please make sure to hit that like button, and if you are not subscribed to the show, then click on that as well. I love getting feedback, and I would really appreciate it if you did so. If you have any questions, concerns, or would like to suggest a comic or a series to me, Breakdown can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and on a variety of podcast platforms, with links in the description for this episode below, as well as the email cbbreakdown@gmail.com. Thank you for your time and attention.